Hello and welcome to today's webinar, InfraWorks 360, Bridge, Drainage, and Roadway Design. This webinar is brought to you by LiveLab Learning, which is a subsidiary of Academic Corp, a wholly owned applied software company created to provide world-class training. My name is Casey Pruitt and I'm delighted to be your moderator today. This webinar is being recorded and will be available to you online and on our YouTube channel. We encourage you to check out our other LiveLab offerings at livelablearning.com. Throughout our presentation, we encourage you to interact with us by typing in questions and comments using the questions pane. We will be answering all questions at the end of the presentation. We would also like to invite you to join us for our other upcoming webinars. On March 24th will be Panzura, Benefits of Centralized Storage to Increase Productivity. On April 16th will be BIM 360 Glue Workflow, Efficient Multidiscipline Collaboration for the entire project team. On April 23rd will be A360 Collaboration for Revit, how multiple stakeholders work together to save time and increase productivity. Please feel free to contact me, Casey Pruitt, for additional information at 404-564-1878 or kpruitt@asti.com. If you're interested in viewing more of our webinars, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Search LiveLab Learning on youtube.com. At this time, please join me in welcoming today's speaker, Ken Driscoll. Ken is an application, I'm sorry, Ken? Go ahead.
Thank you, Casey. So as Casey mentioned, there are a few things clearly from LiveLab Learning, AutoCAD, AutoCAD LT, and Autodesk 3ds Max from the Building Design Suite. And then Casey also mentioned the upcoming webinars, which would be Panzura, BIM 360 Glue Workflow Collaboration of an entire project, and also a 360 collaboration for Revit. Specifically how multiple stakeholders work together and save time to increase productivity. And there are some dates that Casey mentioned in reference to Panzura, BIM 360, and also Autodesk 360 collaboration for Revit. Again, today's InfraWorks 360 presentation makes reference to bridge, drainage, and roadway design. So clearly there are two forms of InfraWorks. One is a desktop version, and then the other version is InfraWorks 360. Everything that references InfraWorks 360 is cloud-based in reference to bridge, drainage, and roadway design. Now, today's business challenges, we often hear about what the primary focus on winning new businesses are. Specifically, increasing efficiency and productivity. So here's what I've kind of learned in reference to that. You know, specifically in an economy that there's fewer projects, tighter budget constraints, and winning new business requirements that kind of stand out from your competition. So what we need to do is be able to differentiate what you can offer your prospects and existing clients. So companies out there, they're really concerned with money, which they often lose to try to capture new business. You know, it can be expensive to create multiple alternatives for new clients and to demonstrate that with what your customers are asking for. And also for the projects they're already working on, businesses that see inefficiencies throughout a life cycle of a project that hurt their productivity. So whether it's time spent finding or incorporating data that they need to build a model, or costs of change orders or areas of improvement. So communicating with project team members and external, also non-technical stakeholders presents its own set of challenges. So when someone doesn't understand design intent, it's a great deal of time wasted in terms of getting to a yes. These business challenges sound familiar, and what are ways that we can improve? So the first thing is, what if you could solve those business challenges with the ability to create your own models in the context of today's environment? Quickly and easily explore multiple designs, efficiently produce and iterate accurate and realistic design proposals, and then leverage them for preliminary engineering. Make smarter decisions about how your model will perform analytics and simulations that don't send your projects over budget. And also, share designs with internal and external stakeholders, even the non-technical ones. And easy to understand models that ultimately help you accelerate the approval process. Your stakeholders will no longer have to ask you for a design when you can look at it in real life because you could show them. And ultimately, presenting design intent in a realistic design context. So the first thing, as we move on here, Autodesk InfraWorks allows you to expand information modeling, which is also known as BIM. So these specific workflows enable you to work with infrastructure and business professionals to go kind of beyond model creation, sketching on a piece of paper, and also visualizing specific to engineering disciplines, and also collaboration and analysis. So more quickly and easily engineer large-scale preliminary designs in the context of built environments using a single model that can contain significant amounts of data from a wide range of sources. Now, advances in and also accelerate project development by creating and sharing these models, and then of course reliable cloud services that allow for additional viewing and also across disciplines per office. Also extending your design capabilities to access specialized tools for roadway, drainage, and building. So, building models from existing CAD, 3D models, GIS, raster design, InfraWorks allows you to bring in all these models. Some specific to Civil 3D, some specific to AutoCAD Map, Revit, Inventor, Navisworks, all along the Autodesk product line, and then also outside of the Autodesk product line. For instance, Bentley DGN, City GML, IFC, Point Cloud, Raster, SQLite, and also SketchUp. Now, creating models from existing data, usually open source technology, InfraWorks supports spatial data, SQL Server, PostGIS, again, 3D DGN now, IFC, and also SketchUp files. InfraWorks also supports importing data from a 3D laser scan, reality capture files, recap software, CDGML, and also self-intersecting geometry from GIS. Ultimately, some data sources you can choose cloud or local import. So if you have GIS data, if you have aerial photography, if you have shape files, if you have Civil 3D surface model files, you can bring all that data into InfraWorks. So really greatly improving your ability to incorporate detailed data from CAD, 3D models, GIS, raster, Civil 3D, Land XML, IMX, Mr. Civ files, ECW files, GeoReference TIFF files. So engineering large preliminary designs in the context of a built-in environment. You also can bring in Autodesk 3ds Max Design and Navisworks models. As an example, clearly to effectively investigate a project, you can see 3D underground utilities in terms of a model that you can pull into InfraWorks, and also subsurface and also surface utilities. So again, most effectively being able to investigate, evaluate project options with preliminary design data from the existing environment, and also being able to reuse and allow your team members to look at that data. InfraWorks also offers an intuitive interface. Get things done faster, quickly access appropriate tools, and then you can complete a phase of work without having to change toolbars, which saves you additional time in reference to working in a single model and interface. So let's talk about the need to communicate in new ways. So on one hand, clients, they've told us they need to address increasingly complex, competitive, to stay with time, putting time, a lot of effort into creating proposals. They need to win work in order to make money. So once a project is won, growing that project's complexity is complicated. Changing technology, social networks, and crowdsourcing, that's commonplace. So the growing social media and the social climate means that customers need to be able to communicate to a broader audience. So differentiate your services, make information available 24/7, and also help over public concerns. Field teams also can provide data that make reference specifically to those proposals. Better communicate with realistic views. Model more accurately. Again, differentiate your services to win more work. You can model infrastructure objects more accurately with easy-to-use industry-specific tools. Autodesk InfraWorks allows you to help differentiate yourself with services with compelling visualizations, and also present design alternatives in reference to the existing environment. So you'll be able to demonstrate these ideals in an unparalleled and understanding of project needs. Also, with improved stakeholder engagement. Everyone doesn't have the ability to look at 2D plans in a 3D visualization. So InfraWorks allows us to create project intent models in 3D, freely navigate a rich environment while viewing multiple scenarios in real time. You can also share those models, specific scenarios that broaden a range of stakeholders, specifically in a cloud environment. Foster project team collaboration. Users can collaborate by inviting other team members to access, download, edit shared models. They also can participate in a collective decision-making, real-time feedback, simultaneously manage design models and options. Also enhance project review by animations and varying narratives by annotating key concepts. So geographically, basically we can disperse teams that can better review design intent anywhere, anytime. Manage and publish large models, gain field model access, get real-time feedback scenarios. Then also advanced design capabilities. So we're talking roadway based upon AASHTO standards. We're talking bridge design based upon federal and highway standards, and also drainage design. So TR20, TR55, and also HEC. So innovative tools that allow you, again, drainage design, transportation projects, analyzing watersheds, hydrology equations, and also preliminary culverts. So as an example, engineering and design context. So what I will do is I will bring out, with InfraWorks tools, the ability to go out anywhere in the country, lay out a specific area, and bring that data into a InfraWorks model. Once that data is brought in, I'll be able to bring in a role profile and design parameters based upon that role profile specific to design specs from AASHTO standards. Also, intersection layout. We'll look at the context, be better presenting alternatives in reference to intersection layouts. So we'll go through some of these scenarios in reference to what InfraWorks brings to the table, perform role profile optimization, and deliver a wide range of optimal solutions for those. Intersection features, we'll take a look at that. The ability to streamline, where InfraWorks tools in the software enable us to use standard vehicles to define intersection geometry. Design specific authoring tools to incorporate parametric controls that support engineering standards. Specific with roadway safety, roadway design, and InfraWorks, you're working with precise modules that allow you to truly exist at the project site, where you're better able to understand the existing environment around. And then also using 3D models to help you identify blind spots, site envelopes, and also drive site obstructions. And then you can also use profile optimization in Autodesk InfraWorks 360 to engineer a road's optimal vertical path. Also adding design road engineering. You can also generate several optimization jobs with each combination of design speed parameters. So InfraWorks also has maximum field height, maximum cut depth ratios. We won't go deep into those, but we'll be able to take a look at those in reference to variable size slopes, swap path width for earthwork computation. And then detailed design and documentation. Specifically, there's current design workflows using Civil 3D with those capabilities found in InfraWorks, and the interoperability between Civil 3D back and forth interoperability. You can also document and share roadway design geometry for distinct projects. Also with InfraWorks roadway design, you have the ability to accelerate your project delivery with documents. We'll take a look at that. The design and layout that I lay out with InfraWorks 360, I can push straight to Civil 3D. And then you also have the bridge designed for InfraWorks 360, and really the ability to explore preliminary bridge design options as your overall roadway design and modeling for visualization with realistic civil structures. So as an example, more quickly, the ability to explore, evaluate options, lifespan, bearings, stylization in reference to bridge work. So these are just not CAD objects. These are ultimately rule-based design structures that allow you to put in bridge parameters. So, you know, laying out a bridge, a senior bridge engineer would choose initial span lengths, girder sizes, spacing that are feasible based upon prior experience. As an example, per se, I'll go in, we'll lay out a bridge, go up the right-of-way, and then across the highway. So something as quick and simple as that for a specific layout. And all I need to do is pull up a profile, based upon that profile, add a bridge concept. So something pretty straightforward. On a design road, I can add a bridge, provide my bridge layout, and then go in and edit and make modifications. And we'll move on to drainage design. So Autodesk 360, the drainage design module, provides a preview for design tools for transportation projects. The ability to analyze watershed hydrology using USGS national stream state regression equations. Also, size and design culverts directly from InfraWorks. Also, drainage analytics, watershed analysis, culvert design and analytic calculations, size, compute culvert hydraulics. Rules determine initial culvert solutions. All this data being pushed to the cloud. So we'll get ready for a demonstration. So again, engineer large-scale preliminary designs, expand project and stakeholder collaboration, extend your design. We will hold questions till the end, but I just want to get into actual InfraWorks. So I'm just going to minimize this. And we'll move this out. So when you first open InfraWorks, and we'll just make sure that everything is okay. So when you first open up InfraWorks, what it does is it gives you a quick interface in terms of getting started with home, tutorials, help, videos, community. There's tutorials, there's videos, and then there's a help. Pretty straightforward. And then you have this interface with InfraWorks that allows you to have specific modules: Autodesk Roadway Design, Autodesk Bridge Design, and Autodesk Drainage Design. And then you have corridor optimization and also suitability maps. So when I start talking about suitability maps, I'm starting to think about feasibility for architects, mass planning, also landscaping, bringing in Revit buildings, bringing in vegetation, trees. All that functionality is applicable with InfraWorks 360. So as you can see, if I pick on create a model, one of the nicest things in InfraWorks that I talked about in the PowerPoint with this is this ability to go out anywhere in the country and select a specific site. So within this specific area, you can select an area of interest, or you can type it in as a search. So the data sets would include elevation data for terrain throughout the United States, so USGS, and also national elevation data. And then satellite imagery from Microsoft Bing Maps, and then roads and highways from OpenStreetMaps and highways and rail data sets that are readily available. And then you also have some asset data in terms of buildings from OpenStreetMaps. So as an example, I'm just going to type in an area. So we're going to say Santa Rosa. So right here is Santa Rosa, California. And all it does is it zooms to that area. And as you can see, just like CAD, if I hold my left pick button down, I can zoom to a specific area. So all I want to do is I can define a 200 square kilometer area. I can draw it in a rectangle, or I can draw it in a polygon. So I'm going to pick a simple rectangle. So I'll grab a specific area here. And right there, it says 93 kilometers. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to create a model called bridge dash road dash drainage. So I'm going to create a quick model. So what this will do, this will go out on the site, create a model, grab the data from imagery, roadways and buildings in that specific area. And I'll just go ahead and select create a model. So then it'll give me a quick prompt saying we're preparing your model. This will take this can take a few minutes. Your model will be ready. They'll send me an email when it's ready. I'll go ahead and close that. So the first thing that I want to take a look at is, for those of you who may be in a specific area, these are all the existing models that I have either worked on or I have loaded. So what InfraWorks will do is it will pull this model. So this model that I have generated is a model that's up in the northeastern part of Georgia, and it's called the Browns Bridge. So I've created this model, and all I've done is I've created a model with a bridge around it. So clearly you can see that when I go to home, it's just a 2D image, but when I move it up to a Southwest isometric view, you can see the 3D model that comes in. And there's some clouds. So again, the context of the existing environment, you can see water, and then you can see bridge. Now here, clearly I've worked in this model before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back. So I'm going to switch back to this model and then go through and show you that I've just got several models here. So I can go from some really detailed models to a really simple model. So what's going to happen is it's going to create that model that I'm working with in reference to the bridge road model that I created. And it only takes usually 5 to 10 minutes, and then it'll pop up on my screen. So I'm just going to easily switch back to my model. So one of the things we want to take a look at here is this ideal of creating area and data. So you can see clearly that it does have some 3D functionality in it in reference to what I have brought in. So something pretty straightforward and simple. And then up at the top here, in reference to the interface, you can see that it has a pretty simple interface. There won't be any file, edit, review in reference to CAD. This is totally a different interface and product. InfraWorks 360 is built on top of SQLite. So it's an open and running database that continually runs. So you can see I do have a road, I have a bridge model, and then I have a hydrology model, and then I have a couple other tools in reference to settings and utilities. And I'll just switch back just real quick. So one of the things that we also want to be aware of is with InfraWorks, I'm just going to open up a really quick model. So today it says this Santa Rosa Parkway. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to open up an existing model so you can get the context of what we really can create in reference to a database model within InfraWorks. So I'm just going to open up this model really quick. And it'll take a second, and it'll just jump right to my Fremont model. So one of the things as this model is opening up, you can clearly see that there's some buildings that's here. So we'll push that back out. We'll just start InfraWorks right back up. And by that time, we'll refresh and pull in that model that just came in from InfraWorks. So we'll take a second here. And I'll just start InfraWorks right back up. Just move this back up here just a little. So one of the things that you'll be able to look forward to in reference to feasibility is the idea of those suitability maps. So let's move that back down. And I'll refresh my model in a second here. Just open this up. Okay. So again, we can see that we have multiple models here. Recently used models, local, and then cloud-based. And then we have other models that we can also share with other groups in reference to other design teams. So specifically, you can see over here on the side we have a preview for corridor optimization and suitability maps. And then we have the ability to manage groups and cloud models. So the first thing, I'm just going to open up that last model. And this usually takes a second. So again, clearly you can see that there are some buildings and some aerial information that's located down here on the bottom here. Let me just move that up so we can see. And then I'll zoom out. And then I'm just gonna, and it's just, all it's doing is just regenerating a little, but you can clearly see if I was a architect and wanted to bring buildings into my model, I can clearly do that. And then under my building and information, there is a create and manage your model. So one of the things that I looked at was the idea of talking about GIS and different data sources. So those of you who may be coming from another product or Civil 3D or Map 3D, you have the ability to bring in different models from other products. So whether it's SQLite, SketchUp, Revit, AutoCAD, or even a 3D model, you can pull that in. So now you can see how detailed my model is coming in reference to this site. So now we made reference to underground utilities. So here we can check for clearances and data that can be brought in with InfraWorks and some of the models. So again, getting a realistic visualization of this site in terms of what we can build, what's in existing context, putting cars, roads. So now I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to move over here a little bit. So right now, clearly we have some buildings here. A couple other signs. So I can create multiple proposals. So right now I'm going to create a new proposal. This is one that's going to be called office building. So I'm just going to select OK. And while I'm doing that, I'll select OK. So I'm going to create this office building. So I'm just going to pick on this. I'll just pick a couple buildings here because right now I want to create a plan that addresses a new building on this site. So I'll pick on that. Click on that. And I'm just going to delete it out of there. And again, I'm just creating something really quick and simple. So one of the things I want to do is I just want to put a kind of, parking lot area here. So under coverage areas, I'm going to pick right here again. And we're going to select create. So the first thing that I want to do is I just want to kind of create a coverage area. So I'll pick on coverages, and then maybe we want this to be all grass in a specific area. So coverage area with gravel and border and grass. So I'm just going to pick right on that area. So I'm going to pick right on there. I have a couple trees in there already. I'll pick right there. I'll pick this point right here. I'll pick this point right here. Pretty straightforward in reference to a coverage area. So I'll double pick. Seconds later, I have a coverage area. Pretty straightforward. Simple and straightforward. I made reference to bringing in a building. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to go into data sources. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in a data source so it can be a Revit model, so something quick and simple. So I'm going to speed up this process a little bit. So under InfraWorks, I have some Revit models. So I'm just going to bring in this Revit building. So something simple. So it's going to prompt me, this data requires internet connection, context, and facades will come in also with this building. No big deal. So now up at the top, for InfraWorks, it's showing me over here that it's bringing in my InfraWorks model. So in the interim of that, I'm going to jump back and refresh InfraWorks to see if they have sent that actual model in. So just something real quick. And I'm going to jump around because I actually want to put a road through this site also. So once InfraWorks finishes bringing in this model, and this takes a quick second in terms of bringing in a Revit model. And let me jump back here. We're going to switch this out. So there's that bridge and roadway. So let me download that as I'm checking data on the other site. So I'm going to download it. And this will take a second. So you can see downloading model bridge and drainage, which was the model site that I created originally. So it took about 10 or 11 minutes, maybe. So we'll take a moment to download that. So remember, that was about 100 kilometers that I selected to bring that model in. So it's processing the data source, which is the imagery. It's cleaning up post-download for my roads and some building asset that's going to be brought in. So it says it's going to take an estimated time of about 7 minutes. It's probably going to take a minute or so. So we're at 6%. And again, imagine you can go anywhere in the United States on a site and pull off topography, you can pull off aerial, and then possibly building asset. And then simply going down to the county and asking for a shape file to bring in roads, possibly, and also data from the county. So just down at the tax map office to bring in parcel data, road data. You have that ability to pull in that data into InfraWorks. So not only that, again, I talked about the ideal of optimizing a roadway. So once the site comes in, I'll build a model in reference to a roadway, show you how we can take a look at that, and then show you how we can push that data back out to Civil 3D. And we're at 30% here. So again, that model for bridge roadway design. Also, you'll have the ability to connect that design, roadway design, to Civil 3D, then back to InfraWorks, and those two files being synced together. And then ultimately, once I create that design, I can go into my drainage module and then be able to create images and video from that. So we're going to quickly open that up, which that took about maybe 2 or 3 minutes. We'll just take another minute here. And then once that site comes in, again, with InfraWorks, you have the ability to export data out, whether you have 3D parcels, you have alignments, all that data can be pulled in from Civil 3D into InfraWorks. And then we'll also talk about suitability and then building intelligent feature classes, possibly from parcels, that type of data. So we're pretty close here. And a couple more seconds, and then again, modeling, whether it's Bentley, whether it's Autodesk products, whether it's SQL, whether it's SketchUp, all that data again can be pulled into InfraWorks. So once we get started here, again, the first thing I'm going to do, since you clearly know the interface tools we have up there now, we're at 100%, and now it's committing changes and performing, again, post-download. Then it's brought in my aerial photograph in reference to that site. So something pretty plain and simple, 2D from the start, and then again 3D in terms of my aerial. So we'll come down here. So all I really want to do, again, we talked about roadway, all I want to do is I want to kind of create a parkway that goes through this abandoned airport. Since things are pretty flat, so I'll go into my create road design. So I'm going to go into design roads, and then I'll just go into my local roads, and then from my local roads I have a tab here that allows me to pick a specific road. So maybe we'll do something with a boulevard with palm trees. So let's pick on that, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom right into here, and I'm just going to pick right down here on the center line of that road. Something pretty close. Come through there. You can clearly see it's giving me a speed and length for that road. So I'll just come right through here. It's giving me curve radiuses based upon AASHTO standards. I'll just come right in here. Then so just keeping up with a flat area. And then we'll move down here, come across here, and then we'll go up. So I'm just, with a few picks and clicks, and we'll just finish it out here. And the nice thing, we'll just pick right there, and I can select end draw or change my curve or spiral options. Again, based upon AASHTO standards, I can create that fine data. So, something really quick, you can see it's built me a kind of parkway through here of this site. Pretty straightforward. And then one of the other things we wanted to be able to do at these endpoints, if I just move it a little further out, and clearly you can see I can add in an elevation. It gives me a summary with my geometry, my grade range, specific data. We'll just come right out of that. Then we'll come here, and we'll just go into my profile to modify. So now if I select profile view, really quick information. So I'll pick on this. So I'll pick on my design road, and it gives me my actual profile. And again, it's showing me my actual design. Let me just zoom out a little bit. So we'll have the whole road in there. It's showing me my actual design, where I'm at, where I'm located. If I go as close to the existing ground here, dynamically updates, just like Civil 3D, dynamically updating. I'll move it a little close there. So something really quick and simple in terms of my design road, close to the existing ground. So one of the things we talked about was the ideal of an intersection and a palette. So I'm going to create another local road, something quick and simple. Another local road, I can just pick on it and I'll just say, let's see, something with sidewalks. Sidewalk with green space. So I'll pick on here. We'll just start it right there, something simple. We'll come right through here. We'll pick right there in the middle. And we'll come back here. We'll do that. We'll pick right there in the middle. And then we'll just end it there. Something simple. So one of the abilities that it allows me to do with InfraWorks, and we're going to push out in reference to time. So one of the abilities that it allows me to do is we go back here. So there was a little issue with that service pack. So let me check something really quick here. Because the create design for my roads and bridges, pretty simple and straightforward. It's just a matter of creating a model, creating your roads, and then creating your bridges. And then we'll take a look at also the ideal of the drainage module also. So we'll get InfraWorks right back started. There's no absolute product out there. I don't get too frustrated when the product may crash. There are some internet things going on with Autodesk right now, but if I scroll down, let's make sure here. You're just going to open up a quick model. And that model, this is my second model. And because of time purposes, I'm going to go to my second model that I created. So I'll quickly go to my second model that I created to kind of give you an idea of the process we would have walked through. So here's my second model, and as you can see, I did bring in the same aerial. Let me just zoom in really quick here. So as you can see, same model, same airport aerial. I've just kind of put some green space in there. So just to quickly look at a little of this data here, you can clearly see the ability to bring in coverage areas and green spaces and create data. Pretty straightforward. But here, now I want the ability to kind of look at what I have created here in terms of my intersection. So if I pick on that, it's going to bring up a palette in reference to the type of vehicle that you can drive through this intersection. So right now it's an SU40 vehicle. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger here. And I'll scroll down just a little bit. So we have this intersection based upon AASHTO standards, and then we have also a design vehicle for that intersection. So let me just clean this up real quick. So let me move up here a little bit closer. So something as simple as this road here, I can come in and I'll create another design road. So on the local roads here, just make sure we're okay here. I'm going to do a sidewalk with green space, and I'm just going to pick on this point. It's showing me my road. I'll pick right there in the middle. Then I'll come out, and then I'll just create something really simple here. We got our long-term radius in here. We'll just pull out this road. Let me zoom out and make sure that radius works. And we'll just double pick right there. And if you take a look at that curve radius, it's going right into that intersection. So based upon that curve radius now, I just zoom over a little bit. You can see it even put a PVI in there. So if I hit escape and I pick on that actual palette, then it brings up my palette for that actual intersection. And then I can kind of scroll through to kind of determine what type of vehicle may go through there. So let's just say it's a WB67. So what my intersection does, it automatically updates based upon that vehicle going through that intersection. So all my curve radiuses change, which are dynamic. So I'm just going to push that out. And we'll push that right back down to a passenger car. And dynamically update. Okay. So a lot of functionality. So one of the most intuitive and appealing parts of this is the ability to push these drawings to Civil 3D. You also have a corridor optimization and a profile optimization. So with the profile optimization, and I've done this already, with the profile optimization, it allows me to get the best fit and best efficient price to do that road. So we'll take a look at that also. And then really generating Civil 3D drawings. If anyone has used Civil 3D, they will be familiar with the properties palette that comes up in reference to Civil 3D. So right now it's saying select the design road. Here's my plan and profile sheets. It pushes this data specifically straight to Civil 3D. So being able to get a set of plan and profiles based upon a design or concept road, pretty straightforward in reference to Civil 3D. I am not going to do that part. So I'm going to come back because, again, I talked about multiple proposals. So I'm going to select a different proposal just to give you an idea in terms of what you can create. So in my first test of my corridor, I'm just going to switch proposals. So that just takes a second. In my first test, I haven't drawn anything, but if the client came back to me and said, okay, well, where's that master plan proposal? So here, I just kind of got some green space in here. But what if the client came back and said, oh, you know, we really like that master plan. I can come right back in here into my proposal and say, Site Parkway Final. And if I pick on that proposal, it'll just regenerate that Site Parkway Proposal Final. So the nice thing about a proposal is you have the ability to create and delete and save each database based upon that. And then what if they come back and say, well, I want the ability to show someone, like in the PowerPoint, show someone the actual site. So you do have the ability also to create videos and storyboards. So I'm going to hit escape twice. And then presentation-wise, I can create images for my site. I can create storyboards. I can create snapshots. So as a storyboard, I'm going to pick on storyboard. Right here, I have a storyboard that I've created already for time purposes, and I can just go ahead and run through this as a walkthrough. So I'll pick on it. So now you can get a clear view of what this site looks like. And if I was a stakeholder, I'd have a good idea in terms of what this site would look like from the road. And also, and it's just taking a second here. So from the road, from different perspectives of what this actual site. So mass planning, feasibility, bringing in landscape trees, not an issue. Bringing in Revit buildings, not an issue. And we'll move this up a little further. Different perspectives again of what that site will look like. Okay, so something pretty straightforward. So I'll close that storyboard down. And again, we have the ability to clearly see, you know, I have visual effects for sun and sky. So I'm just going to zoom to this area right here. Come down a little bit. See, we got a soccer field. So we do have the ability to set the day and time of daytime and year. So a lot of functionality. So maybe we want to change the date in terms of what the sun looks like. Cloud cover, those specific times and days in reference to cloud cover. So maybe during the bright of the day. So we'll get closer to the evening there. And then also the ability to watermark, create snapshots. And then for feasibility or suitability, we also have the ability to create specific surface layers. So we can make that surface opaque. And then the other thing we talked about was this idea of drainage. So if I pick on a design road here, so right now I know it's a design road. I picked on it. It's got elevation ranges and grade ranges. if I right click, I can tell it to add pavement drainage. So wait a minute, let's back up now. Think about it. If I can push this data straight to Civil 3D, so I'm going to select add pavement drainage. Then it says, okay, well, it's going to be a network drainage. It's going to be rectangular. I'm going to use 60 diameter structures. I'm going to use a manhole, and then the type will be minimum 4 foot of cover, minimum slopes across, and minimum slopes. So right now it's saying minimum cover and downstream, and it gives me my offset. We also can go back. It says reset panel to default. And then for manholes on pipelines, we're talking 20 foot, 20 inch diameter. So I'm just going to hit enter. It's going to take a second for my drainage structures. So now I'm going to zoom in a little bit. We go up underneath that road. So right now, if I pick on that road, let me just zoom in. You notice the details for my curb and gutter, sidewalks. Let me just pick on that road again, right click, and then I can also add a culvert in. So in terms of adding a culvert, it'll take a second here. Just zoom around to this. Now, clearly, what we wanted to be able to take a look at, now if we look on my road, if I zoom in, you can see my road has inlets and manholes. So I'm just going to zoom back out a little bit. And you can see I have my pavement and drainage structures now for that road. And the critical thing here is I can push this data straight to Civil 3D. So let me just come out a little bit. If I pick up one of my structures, it's going to bring up my inlet structure. It's going to give me my rim height, depth. If I pick up my pipe, it's going to give me my pipeline information and slope data. So again, a lot of functionality in terms of just coming up with a concept. So also, the whole idea behind this now is, okay, well maybe I want to put a bridge through here. So I'm going to do something real simple in reference to a design road and add a bridge. So something really simple. We'll come in. We'll create a local road. Streets with a green space and a sidewalk. I'm going to pick here. Again, this is just a quick concept. I'm going to go here. I'm going to pick this point here. And then we'll come down into the center. Well, we'll come here. And then we'll tie right into this road over here. So make it plain and simple. Again, pretty straightforward. Just a few picks and clicks. So back to the ideal of bringing in a bridge. Right now, you can see where it created an intersection. But I really want this to be a bridge. So if I right click and select add bridge, I can pick on that. And it's going to give me my direction. So I'll pick this point here. And I'll drag my cursor across. And I'll pick on this point here in reference to what I want the length of my bridge to be. So I'll pick on it, and seconds later, a couple seconds later, I've added in a bridge. So the whole idea behind here now is if I pick on that and I go into my profile, here's my profile for that bridge. And if I just pick this point here and just move that back, so there's that road. So the closer I come down to here, here's that PVI now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that right over my bridge. I'm going to raise that up. So quickly, again, this quick concept in reference to my bridge, reference to a road, reference to drainage. So it's created something really simple. So we know we want a bridge here. So if I pick on that, I'm going to my edit exit mode. Then I can pick on the actual bridge. And I can say, okay, it's got a clearance deck. It's a precast type 1 bridge. It's using actual design standards. I have an actual girder in here. So again, these are not just blocks. And the only reason that's like that is because I put that PVI in there. And you can see that this is not just the block, right? So something really quick in terms of what we can do is if we go back to profile, this row right here, we'll profile that. And we'll look at that in profile view. We'll pull that back up. We can right click right on that and it's just catching up. We'll go ahead and select edit. So right there, now the triangle turns red. We can right click and I can just say remove that vertical curve or remove PVI. So I'll select remove PVI. And it'll take a second here. So I just removed that PVI. So now if I right click right back over it, I can add a PVI. So quick functionality in reference to concepts, design, drainage, hydrology. So we'll pick on that. We'll right click. So we'll pick that again. We'll raise that up. So something straightforward. Again, dynamic updating. And then we might want to change that curve radius on that bridge. So let's pick here. Just move that over a little bit. And then we'll move that here. We'll just zoom in. And then we can go into curve properties. So grade in, grade out, we can clearly go in and change parameters. And then if I picked here, I can move and change my radius. So ability to change those parameters. So it's going to just dynamically update. So something pretty straightforward. If I pick on my actual bridge, right click, and here again it's precast. I can make this a steel plate bridge. So from precast to steel plate, we'll come right back here. Remember, steel plate bridge. Just zoom back to there. And again, I can right click and pull actual quantities from that steel out. And the last part, I talked about the corridor and profile optimization. Just hit escape. One of the things that InfraWorks also does is corridor optimization. So in reference to telling you specifically what it's going to take for this project, so I'll come in and let me just pull out this data here. And just pull this back here. I created a model. Let's see. And this will be the last part here. So while I'm looking for that, are there any questions, so we can open it up to questions? Are there any questions in reference to some of the things that I've kind of shown here? Okay, so no questions. Okay, that works out. No questions. We'll close this down. We'll go back where we started from here. And again, if there's no questions, a lot of what we've kind of shown here today, again, is just in reference to some quick layout and concept with InfraWorks. So if there's questions, and
Ken?
Yes.
Mike has a couple questions.
Oh, okay.
The first is, where do you get the tin surface from Civil 3D?
Well, within Civil 3D, you can build a surface, or you can create the surface from the existing ground from a surveyor, from points, or you can grab USGS from the USGS maps online. You can grab surface data also. InfraWorks grabs it from USGS.
Okay, perfect. Mike, we will get you a link to the webinar so that you can review it if you would like as well. That was his other question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so there'll be at least 2 copies in reference to InfraWorks that I can send you links to.
Perfect. If you haven't already, search Live Lab Learning on Facebook and like our page to receive the latest information and special offers. When you visit our website, livelablearning.com, there is a complete schedule of upcoming training and future informational webinars, tidbits, and software updates. We thank you for joining us today and hope you found this webinar informative and helpful to your business. We look forward to you joining us on our next webinar, March 24th, for Penzora, Benefits of Centralized Storage to Increase Productivity. Thank you.